Learning to count in chemistry. It's as easy as 1, 2, 3. So this Flip Learning clip is going to be all about how we name molecules that contain carbon atoms, particularly chains of carbon atoms. What I want to do over the next few slides initially is I want to put up some diagrams, and I want to ask you if you can see what they've got in common. Alright, so the first three that I'm going to put up are all relatively simple ones, and if you're studying triple science, so your C3 unit, you'll be expected to be able to name all of these. So if you'd like to stop the clip now or pause the clip now and see if you can see what they have in common. Okay, so moving on. So what you should have noticed from that is that they all have one carbon. Okay, so one carbon, single carbon, and a single carbon. What I want to put up now is one that's a little bit more complicated. Now this has two parts to it. Now if you look carefully, you should be able to see that there's one carbon here and one carbon here, and we actually use those carbons at either side of that zero to name them. That's not the zero, sorry, the oxygen, to name them. So you can see the oxygen in the middle there. Okay, so I want to bring up the names and I want you to see if you can see what they have in common. So we've got methane, methanol, methanoic acid, and methyl methanoate. If you want to stop the clip, please do so now. Okay, so hopefully what you've noticed is what they all have in common is the beginning of their name. Alright, I'm just going to highlight it. Right. So when we're trying to name these things, what we are going to be looking at is the fact that one carbon, a single carbon, has the name meth. So one is meth. Alright, so I want to do the same now with the next one. So what do all of these have in common? And remembering from the last one, I said there was a little bit more complicated. Hopefully you'll be able to get this one straight away. Alright, so hopefully you've now got the fact that they all have two carbons. Okay, so two carbons linked together, okay, touching each other. So two carbons in a chain, two carbons in a chain. Remember, we ignore the oxygen, okay, that oxygen separates them, okay, and then two carbons in a chain. Right. So here are the names. So the first one is ethane, and we've got ethene, ethanol, ethanoic acid, and ethyl ethanoate. And hopefully what you've picked up straight away is they all start with eth. Okay. One of my favourite words, as my son is called Ethan. Alright, so eth and eth. Alright, so I'm sure you can predict this already, but two carbons now is eth. So we've got meth and eth, or eth. Okay, so go on, I know you can do this. What have they got in common? Three carbons! Alright, three carbons all in a chain. Alright, so we've got our three carbons here. This one's drawn a little bit odd, but you can still see that they are linked together in a chain. Remember, just to make sure we're clear, that oxygen breaks that carbon chain, so we start the naming again. Alright, so here we have propane, propene. Okay, so the one with the double bond is propene. Propanol. Alright, and now we're going to get into why we name them propanol. Okay, so propanol as an OH, it's an alcohol, so its functional group is an OH. Our next one, hopefully you'll be able to predict it, is propanoic acid. So it has a functional group of C-double-OH. And then we've got propyl, propanoate. That means three carbons is prop. So prop, 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 and prop. Okay. Alright. So final one. Oh, it's not actually. It's not the final one. And I went on a little bit too far then. So here, four carbons. Oh, don't want to work. Four carbons. Four, 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 4 and 4. Remembering again that that oxygen breaks it. Okay. And this is now bute. So butane, butene, butanol, butanoic acid, and butyl butanoate. Alright, so I started to talk to you about how you know what to name them. So I'm just going to do a really little bit of work on that, and only a tiny bit, because I will cover it properly in another clip. So, in terms of butene, you'll see that all of those have got this double bond ending "ene". All those with the ol have this OH functional group. Okay. All these enoic acids have this functional group COOH, and the butyl butanoate has this functional group COO. Alright, they've all got that in it. It's going to help you in a little bit because I want to ask you to name them. Alright, but that's for triple science when we're looking at the alcohol, the butanoic acid, and the butyl butanoate. So we've got an alcohol, carboxylic acid, and an ester. Alright, so 4 carbons is bute. So, should by now be picking up 5 carbons, and hopefully you'll be able to name them. So the first one is a saturated hydrocarbon. It means that every carbon has 4 bonds coming off it, and on the outside where it's not in the chain they're all hydrogens. So a hydrocarbon is made up only of carbon and hydrogen. Alright, and we always name those an ane. Okay, so ane for an alkane. Right, so hopefully now you'll be able to name the next one. So it's got an OH as its functional group, so we should now know that that's an alcohol. Up here we find out that it's called pent, so you should be able to get the fact that it's pentanol. Right, 5 carbons again, so it's another pent, and this time we've got this functional group down here, COOH. Well, this is a carboxylic acid, and it's called pentanoic acid because it's got the 5. Right, and the last two. Okay, let's see if we can work these out. Any ideas? Have a look. We've got a double bond. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, what we have there is pentene. We've got a double bond. Right, and last but not least, 2 lots of 5, so we've got something pent something, pent something, so it's pentyl pentanoate, so pentyl pentanoate. Okay, and that's an ester. If you're one of my little triplies, you'll definitely need to know that. Okay, so what I'm going to put up for you to look at next is the whole series of them. Alright, so I would expect that you can at least count to 10 in chemistry. So for your number of carbons, so you've got meth, F, prop, bute, pent, hex, hept, oct, non, and dec. Okay, so shout out to my current Year 11 triplets in 2014, because some of you are getting that, so well done to you. Okay, I would expect that you know that, because I want you to be able to go into your exam and absolutely hammer it. Okay, not even have to think about it. Go in, be able to count them and name them. Alright, so the next one then. Let's see if you can actually name these. Okay, so looking at them, let's go in, let's count them. Oh, no, I didn't want that. Let's rub that out. Sorry about that, guys. Into the highlighter. That'll do. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 carbons. So you should be looking and thinking, what is it when I have 6? You should be coming up with the right answer for that one. Okay, and the correct answer would be, oh, not want to write in yellow, let's write in black. Would be hex. Okay, And then we need to look at its functional group. Okay, so this is its functional group, COOH. So that tells me it's carboxylic acid, so it's hexanoic acid. Alright, well done if you've got that right. Okay, so the next one then, let's go through this a little bit faster. Okay, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We can see it's saturated, it's all single bonds, so it's only made up of hydrogen and carbon, so that is 8, so it's octane. Alright, so octane. So moving on. Can you name these? If you want to be able to name them without me helping you, you need to pause the clip now. Otherwise, off we go again. Okay, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, and it's not very clear, I'm sorry about that. There should be a double bond there, and if you were clever about it, you would have noticed that you've only got 1, 2, 3, 4 bonds there. 1, 2, 3, 4. Every carbon should have 4 coming off it. Okay, so it's an alkene because it's got a double bond. So this is 10 carbons and it's decene. Sorry, decane. Decane. Alright. Right, last but not least then. Let's go back to highlighter. Let's speed up. So we've got, oh no, that wasn't a highlighter. Let's go back to the highlighter. So we've got 1, 2, 3 on this side, and we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 on that side. So if I've got 3 carbons, what I should be picking up on is that I have, come on, need a black pen. I've got pro, because I've got 3 carbons, and it's propyl. Okay, and then I've got the 4 carbons on this side, so it's bute. And we're naming it, so it's butan O8. Okay, and that's an ester. Right, hopefully that's helped. Remember, if you're only learning to count in chemistry so that you can name your alkanes and alkenes, you don't need to know about all these functional groups here, but you do need to know about naming them if they've got a double bond or if they're a saturated hydrocarbon.